I will leave Islam right now, but in one condition.
All right, let's check it out.
All right, so here we have Kohli from Temu.
Yes, I can, and I'll actually do you much better than one mistake. I'll show you 5.
Okay, another person trying to show 5 mistakes from the Holy Quran. Let's see what he has to say.
In verse 11 of Surah Nisa, Allah fails to do simple math. A deceased man leaves behind a mother, a father, 2 daughters, and a wife. Now the wife gets 1/8 of his estate. The daughters share 2/3, and the mother and the father each get 1/6. Now if you add all of that up together, it equals 1 and 1/8, which is mathematically impossible.
It looks like you're the one that's actually failed in maths, brother, because chapter 4, verse 11, it doesn't say this whole scenario is the inheritance. It gives different scenarios. And if you actually read the English, you would see that, right? In the verse, God gives different scenarios and the inheritance rights for each scenario. He didn't say one man dies and he has all these people and the inheritance is to be given to all these people in this way. Right, let's read the verse. Chapter 4, verse 11. Allah commands you regarding your children. So already this is scenario number 1. It's about your children. The share of the male will be twice that of the female. Okay, perfect. That's scenario 1. Then Allah says, fa'in. What does that mean? It means but if. So here, scenario number 2 comes. So the first scenario is done. Scenario number 2. You leave only women. So basically no sons, 2 or more. Their share is 2/3 of the estate. Okay, that's scenario number 2. Then Allah says, wa'in, and if. So here comes what? Kohli from Temu. Here comes scenario number 3. If there is only one female, her share will be 1/2. Then he says, and for his parents. So now we're talking about a completely different scenario. Scenario number 4, the parents. So first was about the children. Then it was about only boys. Then it was about only girls. Now this is about the parents. Allah says the parents get 1/6 if you leave offsprings. So that's another scenario. Fa'in, but if. And here comes scenario number 5. If you are childless, then your parents are the only heirs. And your mother will get what? 1/3, and the father will get the rest. Then Allah says, fa'in, which is but if. Now here's scenario number 6. If you leave siblings, so now they're speaking about the relatives, meaning the siblings are added. If you leave siblings, then your mother will receive 1/6. So no, brother, your maths is absolutely disastrous at the moment, and you're not doing very well, are you? So here, God has spoken about the inheritance of your children, depending on how many children you have. Then it speaks whether you have males or females as children. Then God speaks about the parents and their share that they have if you have children. Then what your parents get if you don't have children. And then what your parents get if you leave siblings. So that's 6 different scenarios that God is speaking. And the verse ends with, this is an obligation from God. So the first mistake is not a mistake. Your maths is absolutely atrocious. You're not in a position to speak about inheritance and women because Christianity didn't give women inheritance rights until 1983, which is in the 20th century. And Islam gave women the right to inherit in the 7th century. Let's move on to now your second one.
Mistake number 2. The Quran says that the heavens and the earth were created in just 6 days. But then in chapter 41, it says they were created in 8 days. So Muslims, which one is it? 6 or 8?
And this one is one that Kohli has used and all these other Christians, I think you guys are just copy pasting from each other, right? But let me refute you. The Quran doesn't say that it was 6 days and it was 8 days, therefore it's a contradiction. You again have failed in maths and you've not been able to understand the context of the verse, right? The answer is it was 6 days, not 8. I'll prove it to you now. So the verse that you're using for 8 days is not 8. Your maths is off again. The Quran in chapter 41 verse 9 says the earth was created in 2 days. Then in the Quran in chapter 41 verse 10 it says the mountains in 4 days. But these 4 days in verse 10 are inclusive of the 2 days in verse 9. They're not additional. So at the moment it's not 2 plus 4, it's 2 plus 2 in a total of 4. If you actually look at the English translation, it'll say 4 total. Then the Quran in chapter 41 verse number 12 says heaven in 2 days. So there's no mistake here. 2 days for the earth, 2 days for the mountains, 2 days for the heavens. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, not 8. So therefore, it's not a mistake in the Quran, it's just your lack of understanding.
In Surah 2063, Allah makes a grammatical error.
Oh really? You want to talk about Arabic grammar when you're using ChatGPT to translate the Quran? I'll expose you now. You see this little line that's on the side here? That's a copy paste from ChatGPT, because I just went on to ChatGPT, said something random. Here's a screenshot of what I saw, and see that line? He's taken that line from there. So firstly, you are in no position to speak about Arabic grammar when you clearly are using ChatGPT to translate your Quran. And also, that's not even the full verse. Why are you being disingenuous? You're trying to find mistakes in the Quran. You're taking a verse and you've ignored the first word of the verse, and you've started from the second word, and then you've gone on and then ignored the rest of the verse. At least show the full verse. Here's the full verse, right? Quran chapter 20 verse 63. It says, they concluded. Qalu. What did they conclude? That these two are only magicians who want to drive you out of your land with their magic and do away with your most cherished traditions. The two verses before say that Moses warned the magicians, do not fabricate a lie against God. So the magicians disputed the matter among themselves, conversing privately. Then this verse comes, that those magicians, they concluded, qalu, not God, they concluded. What? They concluded, so it's their conclusion, not God's. And then Moses defeated their magic in the following verses. So you can't just take part of a verse and expect to say, here's an Arabic grammar mistake, right? You've taken the first word out of the verse, qalu, they said. How can you argue Arabic grammar when you're not even showing the full verse?
This word after indeed.
And also, you even got the word wrong, right? It's alif, then noon. And what have you put above your head? You've put a noon and then the alif. And also, where is your shadda going, bro? I think it's going off on a vacation. What's going on here? And the verse doesn't even have a shadda. So I don't even understand why you even put that there. This is so embarrassing. So it's in, not inna. There's no shadda.
Is harhani, the dual nominative, but instead it should be harhain, which is the dual accusative.
And I also had to listen to that about 10 times, right? Because I did not understand a word you were trying to say. It sounded like you were speaking Hebrew. That's not Arabic, what you're saying, right? You said both words wrong. What is harhani? That's not even in the verse. Harhani is nowhere in that verse. And what is harhain? Bro, that's not Arabic. I don't even know what language you're speaking.
Is harhani, harhain.
I mean, I don't even understand. That's not Arabic. So stop using ChatGPT. This isn't a mistake either. Let's move on.
In chapter 23, verse 14 of the Quran, we are given a step-by-step explanation of how a baby is formed in the womb. However, none of this is correct and the embryology is completely off.
Okay, so the Quran in chapter 23 verse 14, I've proved that the Quran is correct and showed embryologists confirming that this verse is correct in my reply video to Kohli, who also tried using this verse, and you failed. So I'm not going to repeat myself, go watch that. Let's go on to the next mistake.
Finally, Surah Al-Ahzab 33:21 says that Muhammad is a good example for all Muslims to follow. However, he married a 6-year-old, so I don't think that's true.
Aisha wasn't 6 at the time of her marriage with the Prophet. I've refuted this in another video, but bro, you're going to have to do better than this, right? If you're going to try and find mistakes in the Quran, you can't use narrations to counter the Quran. A hadith can never overrule the Quran. So all 5 of these mistakes are not mistakes, bro.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of angry Muslims in the comments.
Now, we're not going to get angry, right? Why would we get angry? I've just refuted your entire video academically. You don't know what you're saying. So these 5 mistakes are not even 5 mistakes.
So thank you all for watching, and Allahu Akbar.
And it's Allahu Akbar.